Your dog follows you to the kitchen, follows you to the bathroom, follows you back to the couch. You didn't call them, didn't look at them, didn't even think about them. And still, there they are. Right behind you. Every single time. Most people think they know why. They don't. Because the answer has nothing to do with habit. Nothing to do with hunger. It's biological. It's neurochemical. And it was wired into your dog over 15,000 years of living alongside humans. Most owners spend years with their dog and never once understand what's actually driving that behavior. And that gap, between what you think is happening and what's really happening, that's exactly what this video is about. If you're the kind of person who wants to understand their dog on a deeper level, you're in the right place. This is canine psychology. And this changes everything. Think about what actually happens when you move through your home. You get up, they get up. You sit back down, they settle right next to you. You leave the room for 2 minutes, and when you come back, they're standing at that door, staring at the exact spot you disappeared from. You've probably seen this 100 times. Maybe you laughed it off. Maybe you just stepped around them and kept moving. But here's what's actually happening in that moment. Research shows that when an owner leaves a room, dogs don't just wait passively. They actively move toward the door, position themselves close to it, and orient their entire body in the direction the owner went. Not wandering. Not exploring. Specifically tracking you. In a study published in PLOS 1, dogs left alone in a room spent significantly more time near the door, facing the exact direction their owner had exited, compared to when the owner was present. That is not boredom. That is not a dog killing time. That is a dog actively searching for one specific person. And it's always you. Not the neighbor who visits every week. Not the friend who's been at your house all afternoon. You. Every single time. That kind of consistency doesn't happen by accident. And it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from something that goes much deeper than most owners ever realize. So why you? Why not just any warm, familiar person in the room? This is where it gets really interesting. A research team in Japan brought dog owner pairs into a room and let them interact naturally for 30 minutes. Before and after, they measured oxytocin levels in both the dog and the owner through urine samples. Oxytocin, that's the hormone tied to bonding and attachment. The one that rises between a mother and her newborn. The one that makes you feel connected to someone without being able to explain why. What they found was this. Dogs who gazed at their owners for longer periods caused a significant rise in oxytocin in the owner. And then that owner, now with elevated oxytocin, would talk to their dog more, touch their dog more. And the dog's own oxytocin would rise in response. And then the dog would gaze even longer. A loop. A silent chemical conversation running between your dog and you in real time. And here's the part that stops most people cold. That loop only activates when your dog is close to you. When they're following you. When they're watching you. The following isn't random behavior. It's the loop looking for a reason to start. Dogs who gazed at their owners longer caused a significant oxytocin rise. And that rise triggered more talking, more touching, more connection. And then the dog's oxytocin rose too. But here's what makes that remarkable. Your dog isn't doing this consciously. They don't have a plan. What they have is something that was shaped over thousands of years. Dogs developed the ability to use eye contact and proximity as a bonding tool directed specifically at humans. And that tool shows up every single day. When you shift on the couch and they lift their head. When you stand up and they're already moving before you take your first step. When you walk down the hallway and there are paws behind you the whole way. That following behavior, that constant need to stay close, is the loop actively running. Your dog isn't trailing behind you out of boredom. They are following you because proximity to you is what keeps that chemical connection alive. Every time they get up and come with you, that's not a habit. That's biology doing exactly what it was built to do. And the fact that it happens with you, and not just anyone, that's the part we need to talk about next. Now here's the part most owners never connect. The same research team ran this exact experiment with hand-raised wolves. Wolves raised by humans since birth, socialized with humans, living alongside humans every single day. Same setup. Same 30-minute interaction. Same measurements before and after. The wolves almost never made mutual eye contact with their human handlers. And when oxytocin levels were measured afterward, neither the wolves nor their handlers showed any significant rise. The loop didn't exist, and that result is everything. Because wolves are the direct ancestor of your dog. Almost identical DNA. But that one thing, that pull toward a specific human, that need to follow, that gaze that starts the loop, it isn't in the wolf. It evolved specifically in the dog. Dogs that stayed close to humans were protected. Dogs that followed were fed. Dogs that gazed were cared for. And over thousands of years, that following behavior stopped being a choice and became biology. So when your dog gets up every single time you move, they are not choosing to be annoying. They are not bored. They are running a program that took 15,000 years to write. And here's what makes that even more interesting. That program doesn't run the same way in every dog. And the reason why comes down to you. But here's what almost nobody talks about. Most owners see the following and think they understand it. They don't. Because there's a second layer to this. And it's the layer that actually explains why some dogs follow everywhere, and some dogs stop following altogether. Researchers who studied dog attachment patterns, using the same framework originally developed to measure bonding between human infants and their caregivers, found that dogs fall into distinct attachment styles. Secure, avoidant, ambivalent, and the style your dog develops is not random. It is shaped directly by how you show up every single day. Secure dogs actively seek closeness with their owner. After separation, they want to be even closer. The owner's return genuinely calms them. These are the dogs that follow you everywhere, not out of anxiety, but out of real trust. The following is their way of saying, I know you. I choose you. Avoidant dogs show little preference between their owner and a complete stranger. They may approach but quickly turn away. They stop seeking. They stop following. And most owners with an avoidant dog think their dog is just independent, just not that affectionate. They never connect their own behavior to that pattern. The research found that owners who were emotionally unavailable, distracted, or inconsistent were more likely to produce avoidant attachment patterns in their dogs. The dog didn't change. The dog responded. There's a real difference between those two things. And here's the number that should make every owner stop. Roughly 72% of dogs in studies were securely attached. Which means nearly 1 in 4 dogs is not. Most of those owners have no idea. And most of them think their dog is just that way. And then there's something the research found that stays with you. Researchers studied former shelter dogs, dogs that had been abandoned, surrendered, left behind. Dogs that had lost the one person they had chosen to follow. These dogs were compared directly against dogs who had lived with the same family since puppyhood. Same tests. Same conditions. And despite everything those shelter dogs had been through, they still formed strong attachment bonds with their new owners. They still followed. They still sought proximity. They still chose a person. Think about that for a second. A dog that was left behind. That lost its person. That spent time in a shelter not knowing what came next. And still, when a new owner showed up and stayed consistent, that dog followed again. The bond isn't fragile. That need, that pull toward one specific human, runs deeper than circumstance. Deeper than loss. Your dog doesn't follow you because they have no other option. They follow you because somewhere in their biology, in 15,000 years of evolution, they were built to find a person and stay close to them. And they found you. So what do you actually do with all of this? It comes down to 3 things. First, when your dog follows you and seeks you out, be present. Not every approach needs a redirect or a command. Sometimes just acknowledging that gaze, holding it for a moment, is enough to feed the loop. The research showed that even brief eye contact between a dog and owner triggered measurable oxytocin changes in both. Your dog is not asking for much. They are asking you to notice them. That costs nothing. Second, let the physical contact happen. Let them lean. Let them sit close. Let them rest against you. Touch directly influenced oxytocin levels in both dogs and owners in the research. That is not spoiling them. That is not creating bad habits. That is the bond working exactly the way it was designed to work. And third, stay consistent. The attachment style your dog develops is a direct reflection of how reliably you show up for them. Not perfectly. Nobody does this perfectly. Just consistently enough that your dog learns, this person comes back. This person notices me. This person is safe. Those 3 things. That's really all it takes to protect what's already there. Go back to that moment. Your dog was lying across the room. You didn't call them. Didn't look at them. Didn't even think about them. And the second you moved, they were up, following you. You used to think, they want something. They're bored. They're just being clingy. But now you know what's actually happening in that moment. That dog just activated a neurochemical loop that took 15,000 years of coevolution to build. Their oxytocin is rising. Yours is about to. That quiet decision to get up and follow, it is not habit. It is not boredom. It is a bond that evolved specifically between dogs and humans. That exists nowhere else in the animal kingdom. Not even in the wolf. And in that ordinary moment, in your kitchen, on a regular Tuesday, your dog is doing the only thing they were ever built to do. They are choosing you. Every single time they follow you, that's what it means. If this changed how you see that moment, that's exactly what we're here for. There is so much happening inside your dog that most owners never get to understand. And that gap is worth closing. At Canine Psychology, that's all we do. If you want to keep going deeper, subscribe. Because the next video covers something most owners notice every single day, and completely misread. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it.